Hi, this is Darren QB Creedell Jones' son from the music group The Shy Lights, coming today to try to make a response on the Snoop Dogg issue pertaining to Gayle King and the Kobe Bryant death, which recently took the life of Kobe Bryant and his daughter. Um, it was stated that Snoop Dogg actually came out and made a statement um, addressing Gayle King's interview with a African American basketball athlete, a female African American athlete who plays on the National Basketball Women's League, and asked questions pertaining to her relationship with Kobe Bryant, and wanted to basically get to the real focus, I believe, which is what she really was aiming for, which was the rape allegations that was stated to have happened with Kobe Bryant. I do believe that in reference to the response that Snoop Dogg gave her, I believe that it was on point. It was definitely correct. He's from the streets, if you will, so his response is coming from the common African American perspective of what Gayle King so boldly attempted to do, and what he basically explained was a tarnishment attack to depreciate the character of Kobe Bryant a week after his death. And I believe that wouldn't have happened if, I don't think Gayle King would have came after a European successful entertainer or athlete that's European. Definitely not a week after his death. And while his family is still grieving, his body's barely cold, and the tragic death of his daughter, the lack of consideration from Gayle King merited that response from the black community, especially when it comes to the significant image that Kobe Bryant has in the black African American community. He is a well-respected African American figure throughout entertainment and sports. He is a well-liked athlete and a well-accomplished African American successful philanthropist. And to just denigrate his characters so boldly without having remorse for the death that just occurred for this man's life and his daughter was definitely uncalled for. And I'm disappointed in Al Sharpton's response in this regard. But I want to also bring this up. I'm going to cut to the chase with this. I'm the son of Creedell Jones from the Shy Lights music group, best known for Have You Seen Her, Old Girl, Letter, Lonely Man, Letter to Myself, Toby, etc. More Power to the People, which was an African American Black Panther slogan, which became one used by the African American Black Panther organization throughout the United States. But I'm gonna cut to the chase with this, and I'm going to tell what my experiences are. I do believe that I think Al Sharpton addressed Snoop Dogg and in reference to say that Gayle King does not deserve this type of statement because she's an African American successful black woman. I believe, but I don't think it's fair to put this woman in a light as if she is flawless, as if Oprah and Gayle King is flawless. They're not. I'm going to put my own experience with dealing with Oprah Winfrey as the son of Creedell Jones from the Shy Lights and dealing with Gayle King primarily. I had, following the death of my mother and my father, I had contacted Gayle King in reference to having an investigation expose done on the exploitation and the death of my father, who died as a result of being victimized from his legacy from the Shielites by his record company, which was heavily involved in organized crime, white organized crime, and kind of terrorized most of their artists like Jackie Wilson, the Shielites, Duke Ellington, Louis Armstrong, Betty Evers. A lot of these people died in poverty and destitution. So in the case of my dad, who died homeless and destitute despite selling nearly 100 million records with the Shielites, he was left to die in a condition of extraordinary abuse, poverty, and financial exploitation caused by this white record label, who also exploited Jackie Wilson. And rumor has it they held Jackie Wilson by his ankles and threatened to drop him from a building if he did not sign over his royalty contract and royalty catalog rights to the owner of the record company named Nathan Trainapole. So the same kind of behavior and abuse and exploitation went on with my father, even greater, because he wound up being forced in poverty and homelessness, and being robbed out of his royalties, and later on even robbed out of his own children's trust funds that he put $3.5 million in when he was in the Shielites, which was earned from performance rights, performance stage concert performances, not royalties, which he never got paid all the way up until 94, his death in 94. So to make a long story short, I had went, after my mom wound up dying in a coma from the stress, falling into a coma, I went to Gayle King's and Oprah Winfrey's magazine named Old Mag to try to get an exclusive expose done. And it was during that time where I had called Gayle King's office in New York at the Old Magazine headquarters and asked to speak to Gayle King in reference to my story and our family story from the Shielites and the exploitation of black legendary entertainers who were exploited by this record company, which was notorious for abusing and exploiting black entertainers. What occurred was white staff in which that worked at Old Mag, responding to me saying Oprah Winfrey, Gayle King and Oprah is not taking any stories, but send them what I have by email, and they would forward it to Gayle King and Oprah, which I did. So I called back a week or two later, and I was told that Oprah and Gayle King primarily had no interest because Gayle King was the actual, I think, the director of the O magazine. She is the publishing editor and chief editor of the O Mag, and what happened was the response by these European employees of O Mag, in which most of the employees there are European, not black. They said, well, she doesn't have any interest in this. I said, well, my dad died from abuse and exploitation. My family is left in abuse and exploitation from this. And you want to tell me that my dad died homeless and destitute from being exploited as a Shielite member, a founding member of the Shielites, and my mom died in a coma after dealing with this and being abused by the record company and cheated out of not only royalties that she was entitled to from our father and my father, but also the trust funds that they established for their own children was hidden from Bank of America and embezzled right out of our own bank accounts by this record company and family members who are associated with it. And they said, well, we heard it before. We're not interested in it. If you call us back, we're going to kill you. You know, she's like, they threatened to literally kill me if I called them back. So I called back again, astonished to actually hear this. And I said, let me talk to the manager, because I've been threatened by employees that work for Gayle King and Oprah and OMAG. And a white guy comes on the phone who works there, says, If you call back again, we know where you live at. We'll kill you. Call back again. I'll kill you myself. Um, we said we're not interested in any story pertaining to you and your father and family from the Shielites. Call us again and we'll kill you. And we know where you live and we will come there and kill you ourselves. Myself, he said. So this is, excuse me, this is what I experienced directly from Gayle King and Oprah Winfrey's office pertaining to how they treat African American people who are iconic exploited entertainers, and also African American and minority Mexican Hispanic people who have a story to tell. They deliberately, go out of their way to prevent even having to respond to any stories pertaining to African American people in an old magazine. And you can look at it yourself and see very little African American stories related to Black African American people or even Mexicans or minorities in general throughout this country. My experience was that Gayle King primarily, did not give any concern whatsoever as to what happens to Black people in this country, be it celebrities, be it the children of celebrities that have been exploited by racist record companies and racist entertainment agencies who have taken advantage and exploited our families. She had absolutely no concern, despite the death of my mother and my father, and even used one of her white employees that work at O Magazine to threaten my life and even threatened to kill and find me at my house and come murder me. If I call back, he's threatened to kill and murder me. Then there was a time before that where I went to Oprah Winfrey Studios located in Chicago prior to my mother's death. And because of the fact that my mother had physically went to Oprah Winfrey Studios over 3 times to try to get help and try to get some investigation done on this subject of how my father died in poverty and destitution, how our family was still victimized despite us being the family and children of Credell Jones from the Shielites, the founding member of the Shielites, in which, the Shielites were stated to have sold over 100 million records and had over 18 gold records under the belt of the Shielites, and over 100 million records worldwide, and over 24 remakes by major artists like MC Hammer, UB40, Paul Young, Beyonce, Chingy, Mary J. Blige, Alicia Keys, Seal, UB40, Big Daddy Kane, South Central Cartel, etc., including various rappers like Kool Moe Dee at that time. Despite all of these remakes, we were still living in poverty, and our father died homeless, and we felt it would be that it would be significantly important to the Black entertainment industry to know that legendary entertainers like the Shielites were left in poverty and in destitution to the condition that we were in, and also to the condition that my father was the victimized in. And my mother did not even have a gravestone. So I had gotten so upset after her death, I went to Oprah Winfrey Studios to protest in front of Oprah Studios, and where resulted in the police coming out. And when the police came, they said, we're going to just ask Oprah what she wants to do. One of her top security guards came out named Tom and said, "What are you doing?" I said, "I'm making a protest. I want to talk to Oprah. My father's Credell Jones from the Shielites. I think I'm here to make sure our story gets told. We have been railroaded, exploited, left in poverty and destitution. We have been kept in silence throughout our exploitation. And my mother has died in a coma." After trying to get Oprah Winfrey's help and unsuccessful because of the fact of the ignoring by Oprah and her staff, to the condition and plight of the exploitation of my father, myself, and our family from the Shielites, and the overall subject of black legendary entertainers who basically were victimized and left in poverty and destitution by white record labels who exploited them all throughout America and Hollywood, New York, and Chicago. And I said I will not leave here until I speak to Oprah Winfrey. And so then her top security came out named Tom, and he says, okay, I'm going to call Oprah. He had like a earpiece that he had on, and he somehow could, I guess had Oprah Winfrey on the phone with this earpiece. And he says, what do you want us to do?